right to know where Kamala Harris stands on those issues? Or should we be kept in the dark because Trump bad? Trump bad. That's what Joe Scarborough wants. He wants journalists to line up and say in unison over and over again, Trump bad, because that's been real effective, right? Listen, he wants to be a cheerleader for one side. That's great. Go be a cheerleader for one side. But don't sit there on your boring ass morning show where you tried to gaslight the American public about Biden's mental health and pass judgment on people who are trying to get Kamala Harris to answer questions on something amazing, policy, where she stands on policy.
Ana Kasparian is clearly turning against Cenk Uygur and the Young Turks, and the Young Turks fans are starting to notice as well. They're trying to cancel Ana Kasparian every single chance that they get, and Ana is just very obviously, I mean, I don't know when her contract ends or anything like that, but I would not be surprised at all if Ana Kasparian leaves the Young Turks very soon.
Guys, I am just as surprised from the clip as you are. Now, in the intro, I found this out through Twitter. Like someone dropped a clip of Ana Kasparian, I can't speak today, guys, criticizing MSDNC. That's their new name now, right? Everyone's been going on with this. Everyone's been knowing about this. Even, look, most Americans know about MSDNC already. This is according to The Hill. This article was made in 2022, and this is something I find surprising for many people on the left, is that some of them just start realizing a lot of their media is just one-sided propaganda media, right? And you saw from the intro, Ana Kasparian is criticizing a lot. It's been a lot more critical of her side lately, and I can appreciate that because I thought I called for that. And you know, guys, I try to call out positive as much as I call out the negative, right? So this video, I'm going to react to Ana Kasparian's segment on her criticisms for the mainstream media. But this is something that America has been onto for almost who knows how long. I've been tracking it. I noticed it since 2022, which is from this article. Nearly 60% of media, 60% sees media as a threat to democracy, right? Article came out. America faults news media for dividing the nation. So many people have been aware of this stuff, and it's so laughable that Joe Scarborough right now. This is the switch up. On one hand, this is an old clip from Joe Scarborough talking about how VPs are allowed to be criticized. And now in 2024, any criticism of Kamala Harris is just because of sexism, racism. Look how the flip-flop happens. Check out this old clip of Joe Scarborough defending the ability for people to criticize Kamala Harris. Let's take a look.
I want to talk about this Kamala Harris thing because it's whispered all the time. It's whispered all, oh, Kamala Harris. She's so horrible. Kamala Harris. Nobody's going to vote for Joe Biden because, first of all, let me say it again. Nobody in the history of America has ever voted for a presidential candidate because of a vice presidential candidate. It doesn't happen. That's one. Number two, Kamala Harris. Oh, they're being so mean to Kamala Harris. They're racist. She's a woman. They're scared of her because she's a black woman. They hate black women. They're scared of. Has anybody ever heard of Dan Quayle? Not black or a woman. That guy got raked over the coals unmercifully. Has anybody ever heard of George Herbert Walker Bush? That guy got destroyed. Why? Because he was a vice president. You remember the wimp factor? Like, that was his cover as vice president. The wimp factor. I mean, here's a guy that was a hero in World War II. Here's a guy that voted against racism in public housing when he was representing Texas. I mean, here was a courageous guy. The media mocked and ridiculed, raked him over the coals. He became president of the United States. So I'm just tired of hearing people say, oh, Kamala, it's because she's black and she's a woman and she's whatever and they're afraid. No, she's vice president.
Yeah, so this takes us to her segment here about her calling out the whining from Joe Scarborough now that people are starting to criticize Kamala Harris, the fact that she has no platform. Apparently, of the time of me making this video, she has released a platform. So I'll probably do a follow-up video to, dive into it and give my kind of commentary on it. But for now, I want to focus on Anna continually calling out the MSDNC, because this is a problem. And I already showed you before the clip of how many Americans criticize the mainstream media for dividing us, right? Criticizes that the American people have that actually is not Trump, but it's the media that's a threat to democracy, because they're sitting here covering for the mess of the Democratic Party. And like a spoiled child, if you never correct a child, if you allow one child to do anything at once, and one child you heavily parent, you heavily hold accountable, but you never hold the other one accountable, you essentially give the Democratic Party license to be tyrannical, authoritarian. And this is what's happening right now. Kamala Harris says that if she wins, she's going to censor Twitter. This is why people rather get their news from social media than from mainstream media sources. This is why. The only political group that still trusts the mainstream media is Democrats. 58% of Democrats trust the mainstream media, while independents and Republicans, majority of them don't trust the mainstream media. It make sense. But I digress with my my kind of intro monologue. Let's react to the video.
They've decided that Trump is a very special threat. Well, then journalists should hide information about Kamala Harris from you.
Like the Biden laptop story. I digress.
So you don't vote for Trump and definitely vote for Kamala Harris. In other words, they want the media to manipulate you and do the exact opposite of journalism. Don't believe me? Well, why don't we hear co-host Mike Barnicle make his case?
But there's a false equivalency going on in the coverage of this race, in that Donald Trump can say whatever crazy things he wants to say about submarines and sharks and electric batteries, whatever he wants to say. And it's not really covered in the sense that it's covered describing who said it, why he said it, and who the man is, Trump, out of his mind. And always in that story, in the equivalency, the false equivalency by too many reporters and too many American newspapers, there's
sorry guys, I have to stop this, bro. I find it funny. I find it very laughable that if I take a Fox News viewer, like let's say I took someone, he only watches Fox News, and I take someone who only watches MSNBC, who you think will make a more coherent framing of events that's going on in the election? I'll stand to say Fox News, because Fox News, I don't know if people have been noticing, I think a lot of conservatives have been noticing specifically, Fox News is trying to take what CNN was pretending to be. Fox News is slowly trying to become more moderate in its broadcasting. They hire a lot more liberals on their shows. They're trying to be that place for news where everyone can go to. I don't know if you noticed that. I noticed that a lot. Many conservatives complain about it, but I think it's kind of a good thing. Like, okay, you're bringing in more voices. You're not trying to be like CNN, where you got a 5-to-1 ratio, one conservative, and you got like 5 liberals on the panel. They're not trying to do that, but I like the kind of direction Fox News is trying to go to. I understand it can, you can take it a little too far, but that's the market they're trying to go for right now. They're trying to be that news for everybody, and to do that, you have to bring in a lot more people who are not so, I say, hardline conservatives. But I digress. So when I see MSNBC, I go, yo, this is everything they claim Fox News people are. They like those comments like about the sharks. And I watched Trump's entire speech. That I would say Trump only talked about that like maybe 5-10. That was like 10% of his speech. But that's what they're focused on. They don't focus on the sub. This is my problem. MSNBC kind of tries to straw man what Trump is and try to make that Trump. They're trying to sell you an imagination of Trump, and they're trying to get you to buy into that. And this is why I call the mainstream media a narrative machine. This is why I termed this quote. I heard this quote, and I said, this perfectly encapsulate everything that people are feeling currently about the mainstream media. People will rather trust the internet, like me, other independent content creators, than the mainstream media. They rather trust the internet more than the TV. That is the slogan that many Americans are saying, hopefully, this election. But I digress. I just want to add my thoughts there. Let's continue with the video.
Also, by the way, Kamala Harris changed her mind on fracking. They always throw in something like that in coverage of the story. It's ridiculous. We don't cover the man for how dangerous he is.
You don't cover the man for how dangerous he is? I don't know. I don't know what country I'm living in, but I feel like we get wall-to-wall coverage about Trump being a danger to this country. It is incessant. It is all they talk about on MSNBC. Did he just suggest that journalists shouldn't report on Kamala Harris changing her mind on fracking?
She never claimed, like, and this is another narrative, like, I wanted to highlight, I want to jump in on too, is the idea that she changed her, I wrote it down just so I don't forget when I'm recording this video. They say that she changed her mind on fracking, but can't find a clip. You can't find me a clip of her actually saying that. She alluded to the fact that she did it in 2020 during the vice president debate with Mike Pence. If you go back to that video, and I think I did a video kind of reviewing Kamala Harris's speech, if you want to get my full thoughts on that. But the quick version is, she did not say that. She said that Joe Biden won't ban fracking, but she never claimed her herself won't ban fracking. So still, it's vague and up in the air. Only anonymous sources on an email, on a statement, says that, oh, Kamala Harris no longer believes this position anymore. And the mainstream media, MSNBC is getting mad that people are asking more questions about that. While with Trump, a lot of his policies, you can hear it out of his own mouth saying that. You can go on his platform and research that. Kamala Harris, at the time of this video, I haven't done my research yet, but allegedly, she's supposed to have a platform out. But before, you can't find any platform of Kamala Harris. So what the American people are looking for is clarification. And we're not getting that from Kamala. This is why the criticism is coming for Kamala. And with the debate a day away, this is going to be a big problem for Kamala. I'm just saying. I digress.
Is that not an important policy that voters should be informed about? And also, is he under the impression that telling Americans the truth about where Kamala Harris stands on the issues automatically means that Donald Trump is going to win the election?
Yes. I honestly believe that, because she's far left. She's a progressive. That's the reality. Many people don't agree with what she got going on. There's a reason why she lost the primaries before they even cast her first primary vote. There's a reason she had to drop out, because many Americans found her positions in 2020 extreme. And in her interview with Dana Bash, she said that I have not really changed my values. So people are like, oh, so you're pretending to be a moderate. And she comes across she don't come across honest. That's what I'm gonna say. Inauthentic is how the word is said. This is the problem with Kamala Harris. Trump comes off inauthentic, like a real person. Like, hey, love him, hate him, we know who Trump is. Trump is, between the two, between Kamala and Trump's the most transparent candidate. That's without question. He's the most vetted candidate. He's the most scrutinized candidate. Like any day, the media's not going to protect criticism about Trump. So Americans feel more trusting towards Trump. That's my honest opinion. I feel more honest about Trump because I know if Trump don't do something, he's going to get criticized by everybody, because no one's going to sit here trying to protect Trump. But Kamala, on the other hand, if she backtracks, if she doesn't do what she said she was going to do in the campaign trail, the media won't hold her accountable. And I think this is the dichotomy that Kamala Harris is going to have to try to push back, and I think she can't. The damage has kind of already been done, and it's self-inflicted wounds. The media are coddling her, and American voters see that as, oh, I can't criticize her because then y'all going to say I'm a racist. Then y'all going to say I'm a sexist. Then you're going to say I don't like black women. This is the argument that Democrats are launching at black men like me who don't want to support Kamala Harris. This is the kind of criticism that blacks that are against Trump will levy at blacks that are against Harris. That you don't like black women. Oh, you don't like a strong black woman. First of all, Kamala Harris is biracial. She's not black. Done. The minute you come from any other person that's not a black woman, you're not black. Sorry. That's the argument I have. Hey, look, I don't believe in the one drop rule. That's racist. But this is the narrative they want to create. This is why I said Kamala supporters do her more of a disservice than actually a service, because of the fact of how they go about pushing back against criticism, pushing back against a dissent against Kamala. Because y'all got nothing but symbolism. That's the reality of Kamala supporters. They're emotional, incoherent. All they have is narratives. They vote for Kamala for symbolism. And the reality is, if the media actually cover Kamala Harris the same way they cover Donald Trump, she'll tank further in the polls. But I digress.
I just see, this is when I started my career, when I started working at TYT back in 2007, there really wasn't like left-wing media. There was like Fox News, and the right-wing media infrastructure was kind of being built. And I prided myself and the left wing on the fact that we didn't try to manipulate audiences, and we didn't try to lie to people or cover up the truth.
Not intentionally. I will give you that grace, right? Not intentionally, but in a day, bias filters in unexpected. Like, you won't know. Like, you know, like I like about the left is they always criticize. They always talk about unconscious bias, but for some reason they don't think that applies in their work, right? Because to me, as a left wing person would just go in, hey, these are the facts. You're only really reporting on things you know, but you're not going to do the kind of research of the dissenting opinion would do. Hey, what about these facts? What about these? They don't bring that up because obviously that's your bias. Your bias is, hey, I'm going to operate within this chain here. Majority of the journalists are left-wing like me. If I need to get 3 sources, but if those 3 sources are all left-wing people as well, you kind of unintentionally become a echo chamber. And many people have been calling that the media has been fake news for a long time. I don't know when, but when Trump announced fake news 2016, he just highlighted a sentiment that was already there in the eyes of the public. So Ana Kasparian trying to play it like, oh, this is some recent thing. That's where I disagree with it. It's always been a thing. But I digress.
Truth about our preferred candidates or preferred politicians. We didn't want to stoop low and do what the right wing was doing with their misinformation, with the fact that they would omit incredibly relevant, important parts of the story in order.
But CNN do that day and night. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, everything she's saying that she kind of create this narrative, hey, the right wing does, it's equal. Like, to me, you can, like, as human beings, we can never claim people's intentions. Like, we can't read into people's intentions, but the results, if you show me an example of what Fox News do, and I can show you an example hands down what MSNBC does, what CNN does. Because I remember back in the day, like 2010, people said MSNBC was a credible news source. Now, 14 years later, we all can see, they're DNC hacks. But it took Trump to make people realize that. When you have the news cover Trump 89% of the time negatively, you have a bias problem. I'm just saying. That's my criticism for the left.
In order to make Republicans look good and Democrats look bad. And now we're in this awful era of conditioning audiences and readers to expect journalists to cheerlead like partisan hacks for one candidate or the other. And if you don't do it, if you don't engage in it, they get mad at you. You're supposed to be my cheerleader.
Yeah, I will never do that on my platform. I'm just gonna tell you guys right straight up. Like, if I think someone's doing something wrong, I'm pointing it out. Like the pro-lifers trying to essentially say they won't vote for Trump because he's not pro-life enough. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna criticize that. I'm like, pragmatically, he can't do this. Hey, I don't believe that abortion should be a federal issue. Let the states like kind of sort themselves out. Then you can try to pressure for abortion bans. But until that case happens, you shouldn't be pushing Trump to advocate for pro-life values, right? And I'm pro-life myself, but I see it from a pragmatic political lens. Like, you're gonna cut your nose to spite your face, pro-lifers. That's my argument, right? And I agree with Anna on that aspect. That people should not expect people to be cheerleaders just because they happen to be on the same side. But the problem with Anna is she noticing too late. Like, people have been feeling this way about the mainstream media, right? Like, the idea that she's trying to make this narrative that, oh, right-wing people try to make the Republicans look good and the Democrats look bad. No, the right-wing media is just telling you this conservatives see the left wing, right? And everyone, and then Fox News is up front. Like, that's why I respect Fox News more than I respect MSNBC, because Fox News up front tells you, yo, we're viewing things from a conservative point of view. So it's not about making the left look bad. It's just saying, hey, look, this is why we see the left wing as bad. While MSNBC, they pretend to be objective. Oh, we're just telling the news. This is a false dichotomy. We're trying to tell you the truth. But really, they're left wing. And all I care about is I want honest media, because the idea of an objective, unbiased person, to me, in my view, realistically, doesn't exist. Bias, unconsciously, conscious, it bleeds into everything. And the best thing someone can do is just be upfront and honest of where they're coming from and how they're actually framing the events. That's all I think. I think that's the best media can do at this point. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. That was just some of my thoughts about Anna's segment, about her bashing, clashing, calling out Joe Scarborough and the MSNBC journalists. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate you guys watching to the end of the video. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.